Welcome to The Art of Being Unstoppable, the podcast where women from every walk of life come together to break barriers, embrace their power, and live life on their own terms. I'm your host, Vicki McDougall, and each week we explore inspiring stories, actionable strategies, and empowering conversations to help you step into your confidence, amplify your voice, and create a life without limits. No matter where you are on your journey, this is your space to grow, thrive, and become unstoppable. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. Today, I'm talking to Elizabeth Cole. She is just a beautiful soul. When we first connected, I don't know what it is, but I have this strange connection with these people that I've never met before, and you were definitely a connection. And it was funny because we set everything up before we do the podcast, and we send pictures, and she sends all of her socials and stuff for the show notes. And I have to say, your pictures are absolutely stunning. Your eyes are beautiful. I hope that
Oh
didn't
my
make you
goodness.
uncomfortable, but oh my gosh,
No.
but you know what? You have a very connective, calming air about you.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Well,
That is probably one of the best compliments I could ever receive. Always wanting people to feel very warm and welcomed around me. And I think just the same like you said, I think, it felt like we knew each other, we've known each other, and we are just able to connect instantly. And I think that's always something to kind of celebrate.
it is. It definitely is. I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, so that they can get to know you a little bit just like I have.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a mom of two boys, boy mom all the way. They are 9 and 11. They are the light of my world. I have completely changed just from becoming a mom for the better. They push me every single day, and it has been such a gift. I have really transformed over the last few years in coming, into my own from being a mom, from being, a corporate executive, a daughter, all of the different labels that I really received growing up. And over the last few years, I've really kind of found my own self, my own voice, my own confidence, and kind of creating my own path. And I think that's a big part of my journey is really opening up the doors to help support women learn how to do that. So for the last, 15 years, I have been working in community behavioral health. I really dedicated my entire career to our community, kind of self-sacrificing in many ways, working extremely long hours and working to build access to care to my community, to my backyard for mental health. I was able to help support growing our organization, the organization I worked for, from $10 million to 70 million and be able to bring access to care to about 10,000 people, which is something I'm extremely proud of.
That is
And I
awesome.
am,
Oh my gosh, that
yes.
is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's something that I really am so proud of as part of my journey in, being everyone should have access to care in their life, right? We live in a world where health is not a priority, mental health, physical health, right? Not a priority.
Uh-huh.
So being able to be part of a journey where I was able to help develop that in my very rural area is really significant to me and something that I'm extremely proud of. However, the last couple of years, it really shifted my focus, and I recognize that I did that for a period of time, and it's something that I'm very proud of. But it's time for me to shift into my own kind of path for myself and my children, kind of coming away from that self-sacrificing theme and really being able to prioritize my wellness, my children's time, and really what's next for me and my career and my journey.
You know, it's a lot of people can look at this in two different ways. And you explaining and sharing from your heart and your soul what your journey has been all about. You're proud of everything you've accomplished because you've given back. You sacrifice self for others. And I think as women,
Yeah.
we do that. That's what we do. And
Absolutely.
at a young age, you're also, because you're still young. You have a long time on this earth, and you have because I'm 50. When this first happened for me, I was in my 50s when I first started realizing that I have to stop sacrificing self. I have to start
Absolutely.
embracing self and loving self and being able to put self first, because
Absolutely.
once I am first, I give so much more, and it
100%.
pours out, right?
Mhm. And we can
And
give
now,
back. Yeah, I think
yeah,
we're raised as women to just learn that you self-sacrifice, to learn, to perform, to seek validation from other people. And I think, we go through our life and we hit these milestones and we check all the boxes, and then eventually we do get to a spot where we say, "Okay, I've done that. I've checked all the boxes. I did everything I was told,
yeah,
but there's something missing for me." And I have self-sacrificed so much that now I need to kind of recalibrate. I need to prioritize. And I just think that we're taught to do this, and we haven't been taught to, put ourselves first, and we haven't been taught to be able to find what really brings joy and fulfillment. The reason I was able to maintain this for such a long period of time is because it did fill me. It did fulfill me to be able to give back and to make impact. That has always been part of my journey. That has always been part of my soul's purpose, to be able to give back. And that's why I'm so proud of what I did do. However, I know that there's a shift in me right now, that I can still give back and I can still make impact and I can still help guide women in such a strong way, without having to sacrifice myself, without having to sacrifice my time with my children.
yeah. And that's beautiful. I had a conversation with one of the girls that works with me, and she said, I've come to realize, because we work together on self as well. And, being an entrepreneur, we feel like we have to be up at the crack of dawn and we have to work, 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 work. And we have to do, 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 do. And we forget who we get to be in that process. And I said to her, if 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a great meeting time for you, then I will make that work for me too, because I want to work around our schedules to make everything
Yeah,
work for everyone. It's important.
absolutely.
And we were
Yeah,
just talking before we jumped on about the year of the snake, the year of the shedding, and we're coming into the fire horse. And it's really crazy if you're not aware of this, if this is something that you don't follow or you don't believe in, whatever. That's all good, but I truly have seen a huge difference since I really started allowing myself to hear what I needed, and I've allowed myself
absolutely.
the grace to allow it to happen. And we were just talking about that, right? Because we need to give ourselves grace. We need to shed things that no longer serve us. We don't need to hold on to everything and everyone just because they've been in our lives, or just because it is a piece of something from someone else. If it isn't lighting me
Yeah.
up, or if it isn't connecting to me, then why am I holding on to it? We have to ask ourselves some hard questions sometimes.
Absolutely. And what patterns come up, what unhealthy patterns come up because of it, whether it's a relationship, or, it's old habits. And I think that's the piece, of getting to the place of understanding that it's okay to let go. It's okay to move on. It's okay to evolve, even if that's in relationships or if that's in, things that you did once enjoy, because that shows growth. But again, as women, we carry this guilt that we have to be, this for everybody, for everything, and we can't quite possibly leave someone behind, or we can't, even to give up something that, we've enjoyed for so long. It's okay to let that go and recognize it's no longer fulfilling, right? Even going back to my journey, it's okay to say that period of my time was wonderful and it was fulfilling for what it did, and it brought me to where I am today. But it's also okay to let it go.
Now, when like, okay, letting go, let's talk about that for a minute. So I know your children had a huge impact on your life, and as mine have on mine. Most moms will say the same. What other factors really shifted this direction? What really shifted you into actually seeing? Have you always been able to hear your internal voice and feel that through, or is this just something new for you?
So I've always been extremely aware. I mean, I'm a therapist, right? So I know all the tools, and I really grew up being very aware of my thoughts, my intuition, all of those kind of pieces. I think what I was starting to really recognize is that I was no longer present. And that's something that I think, again, as we're moving into the year of the horse, is there's a level of presence that has to be there. We can't even begin to be creative, right? When we're 2 years behind in our mind, or we're 2 years ahead in our mind. We've got to really learn how to be in the moment. I was really recognizing that I was no longer there. I was also really recognizing that my nervous system was not in a place of, it wasn't regulated anymore. And despite all of the things that I knew, the tools and everything in between, it was in an environment that was no longer conducive for me to be able to again put myself first. So I really kind of, I listened to my body. I listened to how my body was responding, reacting. I had never, been in that kind of state at that level, even though, I had been in a stressful job. I climbed the ladder, right? I had gone through managing 400 employees. We went through COVID, and during COVID, we were still expanding access to care for people because we needed it more than ever. I had gone through so many layers of stress. This was different. This felt very different. And I just really had to listen to my body and my intuition for which direction. And that direction really was leading me somewhere new.
Presence is a big thing. And I don't think, like you just said, we're always looking forward. We're always remembering back. We're not in the moment. And presence has been something I've really been working on in the last few years. And I noticed that the holidays are always very hard because I've lost my parents and they were the epitome of
Hmm.
a Christmas. But I've realized that I was so present this year in my family and what we do have, not what we've lost, not what might come,
Absolutely.
just this right here, right now. And it had to have been the best year for me since my parents divorce because of me being able to be present.
Absolutely.
That ripple effect, I watched it with my family too. I watched it with my kids. I
Yeah.
watched it with my grandkids. We were all present. We were all here together, enjoying the moment in front of us. That was it.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's probably one of the best skill sets we could ever learn, and we're not taught. We're brought up in this society, this culture that's just full of distractions, right? You can't even sit and be bored for 2 seconds. You should pick up your phone and scroll social media, and sometimes you pick up your phone and you jump on an app that you don't even realize that you're consciously doing. We're just so bombarded by distraction, and I think so much of what we're going to see moving into this, this year of the horse is that people are, yeah, they're going to be moving. They're going to be in action, but they're also going to do that in congruence with being present and actually experiencing the moments.
That's right. Because, the memories, it doesn't, we can take 100,000 photos of every memory, of everything,
Yeah.
but we also only need one because
Yeah.
that moment will never be lost if we have that. We don't need to
Yeah.
worry about who's on the other end and, oh my God, what if somebody said something and I didn't get it and da 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 da. It doesn't matter.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't.
And Vicky,
It's
I think even a point, for you, and you're talking about grace, and even moving into being an entrepreneur and feeling like you have to show up for everyone. You gave me grace last week, right? I woke up, well, I went to bed thinking, my son's a little off right now. I'm not sure what's going to happen. He ended up having the stomach bug, and it just, turned into a full night. But you gave me grace to even rescheduling, and typically too, my old self would have been like, oh my God, no, Liz, you're just going to push through it. You've only gotten 2 hours of sleep. You're still going to get on. You're going to show up. You made a commitment. And I think that's a perfect example of kind of that being present and giving grace and being more human with each other. And I think that's something you get to a point and you recognize that's got to be our driving factor with how
it
we
does.
interact with each other.
Yes, because everyone has, and I always say everybody has shit. We all have our own. Okay. We
So
all
much.
do. Yes. And some are more than others, and some days are harder than others. But at the end of the day, if
Yeah.
if you have someone or if you have I being an entrepreneur for me, and this I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Okay. The only time I worked for someone else was in between when I was off work after I had my cancer, and I was waiting for I was going to manage a beauty supply. So I was that was the only time I worked for someone else. So I had a paycheck every week and I had benefits. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
really? I have all these things. But that only lasted a short time because after my parents, I had to take the time off. But I was allowing myself the grace to do so. And I was
Yeah.
also allowing myself the ability to say, no, this doesn't work for me. But it took me 2 years after they passed to even see that, to even see it. So I want to pay that forward to the people in my life
Absolutely.
because life happens and you get to not feel our nervous systems and our, oh my God, and our initial response. We don't have to feel that way
Panic. Yeah.
anymore. We
Yeah.
get to choose it. And if it didn't work
Mhm.
out, then that was okay. But we knew it would,
Mhm.
right? Because
Absolutely.
we all have 24 hours in a day. And what you choose to do with your 24 hours and what I choose to do may be completely different. But we get to allow ourselves the grace and the ability to say what we want and how it fits in our lives, right?
Absolutely. And understanding that we have the power to do that, and we
Yes.
we have to make those choices that are best for us. Um,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. And you making a choice to step away from a corporate job and be able to be with your kids and be there. And, I was at a workshop yesterday and it was a wonderful event. And there was 20 of us. And I sat down at the table and I was kind of sat on the end and a woman sat beside me and two women here. And all four of us had lost our parents. All four of us.
Yeah.
We were sharing and it was like one was talking, crying, I was crying. We were all like, because we felt it, we had a connection, and none of us felt like, in that scenario where, oh yeah, but mine was worse because, and oh, but
Mhm.
this, there was,
Absolutely.
there was none of that. It was just a connection of four women sitting, listening, and being there for each other. That was it.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Absolutely.
It was horrible that we went, that was our experience, but it was
Yeah.
magical. We could literally support each other through what we were talking about yesterday.
Well, right, and that you were present enough to be there for each other, right? You weren't scrolling or, jumping because you had to go answer emails, whatever it might be. And again, this is just the world we live in where we're constantly on to the next, but we're missing these opportunities. We're missing these moments to be humans together and to connect and to share, to bond, to have all of these experiences. And I truly think we're hopefully shifting back into prioritizing those things, because that is truly, what is going to fulfill us, what's going to bring that level of peace and joy.
And being fulfilled is important. People don't realize it doesn't come from over there. It doesn't come from anything. It comes from in here. So when we learn to be
Absolutely.
able to fulfill our own cup and to fulfill our own needs, everything else is a bonus,
Mhm.
right? Like it's all a bonus. Meeting each other and connecting and being able to be present with each other in this time, it's a bonus. And I'm not, I would love to one day, and this is going to happen, is get everyone that's been on the podcast over this next year together so that we can create this community because I know that this makes a difference. People hearing your story and feeling where you're coming from and asking themselves that question and maybe still teetering
Mhm.
on the edge of saying yes to
Yeah.
themselves. You sharing gives them hope to see that they can do it. It is possible.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I have so many, women in my life who are in similar journeys. I think there's a lot more people, a lot more women who are in this stage of life right now where they're recognizing, I checked all the boxes for the last, decade or two, and I'm sitting here unfulfilled, and I don't know my purpose, and I don't get to be creative, and I don't feel present, and all of these things, and this can't be it, right? Like, this cannot be it, that I'm gonna do this for the next 30 years. There just
Yeah.
can't be. I think there's so many women who are desperate to, have that level of support, to build that confidence so that and self-trust, right? To get to a place where they can recognize that I can do this. I can step away from some of the comfort. I can step away into the unknown. I can shift if I have this desire, if I have this calling on my heart, that it's okay. And it's just bringing more normalcy to that and bringing more support along the way. Because again, I think, this has always been there and, generations before me. And I think women just went through it, right? It's kind of the same idea of staying in an unhealthy marriage. Women
Yeah.
just did it because that's what you did.
Yeah.
And you might have needed it even for financial security. And I think that, there are generations of women and men who stayed in a miserable job or a job they did not like or did not light them up because that's just what you did, and no one talked about going out and being uncomfortable and going on a journey where you have to figure out what's next. So I think, the more that we can open up those layers and opportunities for support and normalize that this is okay. And if you've got this desire and this pull, that actually is probably a sign that you're meant for more. And there's something inside of you that knows it. And how do we get you there?
Yeah, exactly. And if it isn't you or me, we have people. We know people and we can set you up so you're never alone and you are always able to, if you listen to what it is that you want, there's always a way to get it. There is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a big part is the self trust. And that is something that we are not taught as children. We're not taught to listen to our intuition. We're not taught to believe in ourselves. Sure, we're told, in elementary school, I'm sure, you can do whatever you want, anything you put your mind to. But then what happens is we get older and then somebody comes and tells us, nah, you can't do that. Right. I remember specifically being in high school and I wanted to be a fashion designer. I knew I wanted to go to California or New York City. And I sat down with my guidance counselor and they said, you know what, Liz? You're not going to be able to do that. The chances of you being successful doing that are really slim to none. You're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And they crushed my dreams and I let them. And I didn't have that self trust in me enough to say, you know what? Sure, it's going to be really hard. But look I've been drawing and I've been in art classes since I was in elementary school and I'm in advanced art and I think I can actually do it, right? That's what happens to us as we continue to grow up. And that is people programming us, right? They're telling us we can't do something. They're putting the seed of doubt. It goes inside and we nurture it by perseverating or maybe an experience that, tells us, maybe that is true. And then we get to a point, again, when we're in this point in our late 30s, early 40s, 50s, and we're realizing, wow, we let other people kind of guide us along the way and we followed that path, we checked the boxes, and here we are.
Yeah,
So it's now finding this level of self trust in ourselves and building it without any other noise and getting to a place where now we can understand that if we have a desire for something, we actually have the ability to do it.
I love
Sorry, that was a
that.
long winded story.
No, it wasn't. It was perfect. It was perfect because you showed us what happened at that age when you had that dream and one person got to tell you, no, it's not going to happen. How do you know it's not going to happen? How do
Right.
you
A
know that?
person that I probably met with, I don't know, 3 times in my life before
I
that,
mean,
right? Who didn't
yeah,
know me, who knew a piece of paper, on a screen of my records. It's just that's the kind of stuff, and that is the stuff I'm very clear with my children about. No one gets to guide our identity besides us.
that's right. That's right. And that's a big thing for me right now with my grandkids because I've seen as I've shifted, if I started to shift what's happened with my kids and how they've started to shift and it's a ripple effect and that's what happens in this world. Which this is why I do what I do on this podcast because you and I can sit here and we can share this story, your story,
Mhm.
and there's someone going to be hearing it going, that is me, and there's no way I'm letting that person tell me I can't.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
where I am with my grandkids,
Mhm.
like, why are you struggling in that? What is the reason? Tell me your feelings. feel your feelings. Your feelings are always warranted. You never get to have it. You don't get to, no one can tell you don't cry. No one can tell you you can't feel that, because you can feel that. You're feeling it for a
Hmm.
reason. Once we start telling people we can't feel it, or you're not allowed, or whatever, then they suppress that. Why are we having these people tell our children and grandchildren what they can and cannot do in that way?
Absolutely. And where most, and this is something I work with the women inside my program on, where most of those people, right, who did program us, who did kind of tell us things that we then took in, that we let go into our computer, right? And then change our future steps. But what gave them the credentials to do it? Right? Like what gave those people the qualifications to be programming us in ways where chances are they never did the work on themselves,
Yeah.
right? They never got to the place where they had done the healing, that they had done, the self-awareness, the growth, all of the pieces, right? Letting go, shedding, all of those things. They never did that, but yet they're sitting here and they're putting their thoughts, opinions onto us, and then we're carrying that like it's part of us. They didn't
Yes.
get they didn't have the credentials to do it.
No, 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 they didn't. This is fabulous. I can't even tell you
Yeah.
how wonderful talking to you is, how amazing the amazing things that you are doing to bring awareness to these very important things that people get to hear. You know, we can change the world one woman at a time. We can allow
A
women to
hundred
see
percent.
what is possible. And
Absolutely.
and I think that is, I've been a stylist. I've talked to women and men for 40 years nearly, from behind the chair, but now I get to spread the word on a global scale for people to see what is possible, for women to know that they can, and they are enough, and they're beautiful, and they're perfect, and they're whole, and they're complete exactly who they are. I, I,
Absolutely.
I,
And
I
building that trust in themselves is
yes,
everything. And it
yes,
shifts and changes everything. It shifts and changes your relationships. It changes what you allow in your life. It changes the way that you view yourself. It is everything. And if we can teach women to build these levels of skill set, their whole lives are going to change.
yes,
Feels good, and that's the drive, right? Like that's the level of impact we want to have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's baby steps, and that's what starts. It starts in baby steps. Even when we're choosing to do it ourselves, it's a baby step. It's not going to happen overnight. It isn't. But I say choose your hard. Being in an unhappy place in your life isn't easy. So why not take that step and choose your hard?
Yeah, I had actually a moment a couple weeks ago, kind of in this place of crossroads where I knew I needed to make kind of a pivotal moment for my business. And I knew I needed to bring in some expertise in some areas that, like marketing and things like that, that I wasn't privy to. It wasn't an area that I've had to build out. And I had this kind of point and I said, okay, like this is going to be a significant investment. It's a high risk investment. Is this the right path for me? Am I continuing down this road? And I just had this moment where, I would much rather, try and fight and let my passions and my desires drive me so that I am pushing myself than just go backwards and to fall into comfort and to one day look back and say, damn it, I wish I would have tried harder. So I no I'm not stopping. There is no stopping me at this point. It is, I will try until I die, like the next however many years. This is my direction because this is where I'm meant to be. But it is having that conversation to say, you know, it's not going to be always easy, and you're going to have to fight for it. It's not going to just fall in your lap, but it's really recognizing. And I think about this a lot. If I'm on my deathbed, am I thinking about this? Am I going to be happy with my decisions and proud of them? Or am I going to regret? Am I going to wish I would have done something different? And I think when we can put that into perspective, it does sometimes shift us to put us to say, okay, yeah, I don't think that I'm ever going to look back and say, yeah, you know what? I'm really glad I chose the comfortable route.
No,
Like,
no,
I'm really glad I picked the route that was super easy and my feathers didn't get ruffled and
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
I lived the same day over and over again. I don't think there's any part of me, it's just
Mm-mm.
it's just who I am that will ever be like, oh yeah. No, I know that I want to make the most of this life. And I remember, even being a child, I remember somebody once asked me, you know, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest fear? Is it drowning? Is it burning? Like something like that, some weird question. And I said, no, I said, my biggest fear is not being happy. And I think I knew really young that I never wanted to get myself into a place where I just gave up, where I wasn't being fueled or wasn't being fulfilled, by my passions. And I think that has always just been inside of me. And when I think about it now, like it's a weird thing for, a 10-year-old to say, right?
Yep,
But I think it's always been a driving force. And like you said, the days are still going to be hard. There's going to be challenges,
yep.
but it's different when you're on your own path that you feel confident about.
Because you're not going to sit in the challenge. You're going to look for the solution. You're going to
Absolutely.
do what needs to be done for you, and you're going to do it that in a way that aligns with you. And like you said, this right now, we're being present. Doesn't matter what's going on the phone or anywhere else. It's right now, right here. And you're going to check off this box. This is done now. Okay, what's next? And
Mhm,
that's the joy of being aligned, because
mhm.
everything,
Absolutely.
there's no pushing, there's no pulling. It's just being in the
Yeah.
moment.
Alignment
Being
is Alignment is everything. And I
everything.
don't think we're not taught even to know what that feels like, right?
No, no, we're
Being
not.
in
Because
alignment, but
honestly, when did you figure that? I mean, you obviously you've had that for a long time in your life, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But most of us don't. We don't.
yeah, well, and it's also recognizing as soon as you feel out of alignment, which I did immediately. There was a shift, without going into too much detail, but there was a shift in some of the people, around me. And I said, this is no longer an alignment for me. Like I am no longer on the same page. This isn't necessarily an alignment thing. But I think for a lot of people, they don't recognize what that even means. But once you experience alignment, once you truly know what alignment feels like deep down, you will very quickly recognize when you are out of alignment, and
Yes.
it will slap you in the face because
Yep.
once you know what alignment feels like, you cannot go back to anything that is out of alignment for you. It will not
Totally.
let, like, the universe just won't let it happen because
No.
it will make it so unbearably difficult, challenging, painful
Oh
that it
yeah.
won't even let you go back.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah,
And it is a
you got to watch
powerful,
out for it.
yeah, and it's powerful. And it's about you get to, I think the getting quiet sometimes is the hardest part because we're not used to
Mhm,
that. But when you can
mhm.
allow yourself the quiet to really figure out what you want and what you need for yourself, it's a beautiful thing. I recognizing it in my life and allowing myself to take the grace of taking a couple of years to kind of figure it out. And I can make up
Yeah,
reasons and excuses why this didn't happen and that didn't happen. It's like, no, it wasn't supposed to happen yet because I wasn't aligned with everything. Now that I'm in alignment,
absolutely.
the doors have opened, and the relationships and the connections have been flooding in because I am in alignment
Mhm,
with what I need, my heart, my soul, my voice. And you
absolutely.
are showing women how to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And they're all puzzle pieces. I really reference it as every, step that we go through in our life. They're all puzzle pieces to something bigger. We don't always know what it is. Um, we can't always see it, but typically as we move through, we can recognize that, oh, those two pieces over there had to get connected before I could get here. Even today, even us being on, on this podcast together, I believe in everything happening for a reason. I believe in connection. I believe the people that are going to listen to this, they are going to be women who are going to, stop themselves right in their steps, and they are going to recognize and feel that level of connection, and hopefully it does shift them in some kind of way and it pivots their life. Everything happens at the time it's supposed to happen. And I think, for you and I, we're really recognizing that that's part of our mission, right? Is to help women really be able to move through these shifts and these changes with more confidence.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And more grace, because you don't have to be hard on yourself if that little jot to the left or the right, that's okay. It's okay. It's gonna happen. It's okay. You can do this.
Right.
All of Liz's information is going to be in our show notes. How you can get a hold of her, her social links, everything is going to be in the show notes. So please know that you can get a hold of her. And I couldn't be happier to have you here today. I wish we could sit and talk for hours. I'm not going to lie,
It'd be
but
easy.
it would be easy, right? But your presence is powerful, and I know that the other women that are going to watch or hear this, they're going to see that, and they're going to see a piece of themselves in you, and they're going to know that there is other ways to do what we need to do. So thank you for
Yeah,
bringing them to
absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. And again, when with my journey, it really pivoted me. It pivoted me into place to creating a container for women to be able to do that. And that's exactly what they can do inside the Radiant Rewire. They're getting the guidance to be able to move through so many of the challenges and really learn how to embody, the desired state of who they want to be, their identity. And, we do that through regulating our nervous system and rewiring our subconscious, right? Breaking those patterns and those programs of the people that we talked about that are not credentialed to have that developed that for us, that programmed us in a way that was not actually our authentic selves.
Yeah.
So it's just, yes, I'm so passionate about it. I know it's going to change the world. And I think the other piece that's so important, to recognize is I really view what we do as such a trickling effect, right? So, we impact 100 people and they impact 100 people and those people impact 100 people. Like, this
Yes.
is
Yeah.
the state of where we need to be moving as a society, as a culture, as the world, is that human decency. It's what can we give back? We were put here with these beautiful, extraordinary gifts. And some of us were, given really challenging and difficult paths in getting there. And we were given those challenges and those paths for a reason. It's because
Yeah.
we were meant to do something with those experiences. We were meant to help other people move through life and to make it a better place. And I think this is such a powerful time. And it's a powerful time to be a woman. And I think that, this is the stuff that's going to be so exciting, for us to look back on and be like, we took that momentum and we shared it. And the lives that we touch other lives. And it's just a rippling effect. And it's everything I think that the world needs right now.
Thank you for that. I
Of
thank
course,
you so
Vicki,
much.
I am so grateful. This is my first podcast, so I was nervous, and you made it feel so comfortable. I'm really grateful for connecting with you and you allowing me this space, and for us just to be able to be, two strong women being able to connect and share our passions. And I'm just excited to be able to continue this journey and have this connection with you.
Me too. Me too. This won't be the last time, I promise. Your first, but
Okay,
not your
good.
last, because this was amazing. Thank you so much for your time today and everything you do. Thank you, because like you said, and I couldn't have said it better myself, it is a ripple effect, and we are the change this world needs, one woman at a time. So thank you
Yes,
everyone
I
for
love
listening
that.
today. Thank you for watching us. If you're on our YouTube channel, thank you so much. And I will see you the next time on The Art of Being Unstoppable. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. Remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and your power is limitless. If you love today's conversation, subscribe, share it with the women in your life, and leave a review to help more women discover their unstoppable selves. I'm Vicki McDougall, and I'll see you in the next episode, because your journey to unstoppable starts now.